of the Best Bets podcast and the Best Bets live stream. Before we dive into anything, Jeffrey, there is some news that you can update people on regarding the NIL and transfer waivers and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, and it's news that's been out there for the last 48 hours or so. NCAA was going to vote today on the NIL. It looked like they were going to at least get everything going here, but it's going to be delayed along with the one-time transfer rule. From what I'm told, will likely be delayed as well, as the Department of Justice has basically told the NCAA, hey, listen, you know what? There's potential antitrust violations with what you're doing here. So I think Mark Emmert's going to table everything for today, and we'll see how long this takes, which is no surprise because as with everything, it takes forever. But part of the problem, and I said this months ago when the NCAA kind of, announced that, they were moving forward with the NIL. They're all the guardrails. They must have said the word guardrails 20 times in that conversation. And, like one of the things, for instance, is, if a school's got to deal with Nike, that the player can't wear Adidas shoes. Well, like, how, again, like how can you do that? You're restricting everything. There, to me, either you make it an open market or you don't. And I think that's the big problem that the NCAA is facing right now.
Yeah, real quick, can you just elaborate a little bit on what you mean by antitrust violations and what exactly, like why is that something that's tripping up the NCAA here?
Well, I think it's just, the legal component of everything right now is Department of Justice is saying this isn't fair. This isn't right for the kids. You can't do this. You can't do this. This is against, the antitrust laws that we've got in place here, that you can't restrict these kids. And that's what's going on all around the country right now. You've got all these different states that are trying to put laws for these kids to be able to make money and profit on their name, image, likeness. And the NCAA is saying, yeah, we're okay with it, but they're really not. They're doing the bare minimum to be able to make it something where it looks the part. But ultimately, these kids aren't going to be able to get what most people feel they deserve right now. And I've come a long way. Listen, years ago, I was kind of anti it. I was like, you know what? Hey, this is college. They shouldn't be allowed to profit. I've done a complete 180 on this thing now. And to me, if you're going to allow it, don't put guardrails up. Mm-hmm. The market's going to correct itself eventually. Yes, early on, some of these guys may be overpaid. Like, think about, let's go through a Terrence Clark right now, right? Terrence Clark, his value, because of how he was rated, he would make a whole lot more money than he's worth right now, right? I mean, they're 3-0 without him. Same thing with Brandon Boston. He hasn't killed it for Kentucky. Those guys would have gotten paid a ton of money. And ultimately, after a year of seeing that, do some of the companies that are throwing money in the Lexington area at Brandon Boston and Terrence Clark say to themselves, what the hell are we doing here? Maybe we got to bring this down a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, the place where these guys are going to actually make real money is all of the internet stuff. Like whether it's like starting a YouTube channel, whether it's being an Instagram influencer for certain companies that are trying to push product, because these guys have huge followings on Instagram and on Twitter. It's things like Cameo, where you can have them sign up to like send a message to somebody. I know that you have a Cameo account going right now. You haven't actually sent the messages to the people that I've tried to get you to send the messages to, but it is what it is.
Is that what you're doing? Is that you?
No, it's not me, but I've thought about it. I have like 5 in my head that I really want to do that. I don't know if I'm ready to kind of push you in that direction, because I know you'll do it, and it might. We don't need to go down that road. But it's things like that. It's places where they can kind of profit off of the fact that they have these followings, right? And like let's just put it like this: like we understand where that value kind of comes in when you have a certain amount of clout on some of these social networks. So that's where these guys are going to be able to make the real money. And that's where I think that you need to allow you allow them to open it up. Like, it doesn't make any sense that that we might be able to sell something because you have a certain amount of followers on Twitter, where the kids that you are covering, the people you have that following because people want information on these kids that they're watching. You can make money off of providing that information. They cannot make money off of the fact that they are.
The NCAA wants to control them. Ultimately, the NCAA wants to control them. They want to restrict them. They want to basically be able to say they're still amateurs, and they're afraid. And really, it's just going to make it harder for them. It's going to make it harder for them because they're not going to be able to keep track with everything going on. They're not going to be able to know, when these kids show up at a party. How about that? When they show up at a party and are paid a couple $100 to go to a campus party, like, come on, right? Like, why even worry about that crap?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Like, the truth is this: the NCAA is an organization that's put in place to run tournaments. And you know what the NCAA should do? They should focus on running tournaments because they're very good at running tournaments. They're horrible at everything else. There's nothing else about
eligibility. Like, forget about eligibility. I've said that. You know what? Let it be up to each school. If you want to take a kid who's got a 1.5 in high school, you know what? All the power to you. If you're an Ivy League school, obviously you're not taking that kid. And those are your standards. That's your decision. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. And I think the NCAA right now is on unstable ground for the future. And it's going to be very interesting to see what NIL does for them and also how they go about some of these schools right now that are in limbo to find out their penalties, AKA Kansas, Arizona, what happened. So I don't want to get too much into this. But again, I think this thing is going to be tabled today. So is the one-time transfer, which was.
So does that mean real quick? So does that mean that this offseason is not there? Is going to be no one-time transfer thing?
It still could happen. It's just not going to happen today. So there's still time for it to get in place, and before everybody starts transferring. Think about it. This past year, right? They didn't do anything until right before the start of the season. So they can, if they want to push something through. They can. They did it because of COVID, obviously, and said everybody's eligible this year. But ultimately, right now, they're likely going to table that as well.
Great. So that just means you have all these kids that have already transferred with the expectation that they're going to be eligible immediately. Now are not going to be eligible immediately.
Well, we don't know. No. That's not.
We don't need to go on these rants anymore because
it's just basically that the kid. Here's what's going to happen now. What's going to happen now is in March, after everybody's seasons are over, a lot of kids are going to transfer. They're going to be told by all the schools that they're going to be eligible immediately, which they probably will. So I think this is probably a formality at the end of the day. But again, even this has some legal issues. That's why the NCAA is going to hold up on this as well.
All right, so let's talk about a couple of the subjects that we did want to talk about that didn't have to do with NCAA regulations and transfer rules and NIL stuff because everybody just loves talking about NCAA regulations. All right, so you wanted to give credit to Isaac Brown at Wichita State for the job that he's done.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances that he was put in. They picked up a win yesterday against, I don't remember who, but Isaac Brown is 7-3 now as the interim head coach.
Right, they beat Cincinnati.
Yep. So go ahead.
Great win. But I'll tell you what, Rob. What do you think Greg Marshall's record would have been with this team, which was completely different, right? Like they lost a lot other than Tyson Etienne and Dexter Dennis and a couple other pieces. It's pretty much a new team because everybody transferred, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody hated Greg Marshall and they left. So it's a completely new team that Isaac Brown's got. He's the interim and he's 7-3 right now. And I will tell you what, like to me, and I tweeted this, he deserves consideration. I'm not saying he's going to get it, and we've still got a long way to go at this point. But he's 7-3, 3-1 in the AAC right now, and I think he definitely deserves credit and legitimate consideration by Darren Boatwright, their athletic director, at the end of the season if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I mean he's got to keep winning.
Yep.
Right. But he's done a good enough job here. Like so we've seen this in other situations with like like Maurice Joseph at GW, and Mojo did a good job for the first year. It kind of spiraled on him a little bit and got away from him a little bit. But I do think that this is another situation where, like, if he's proving that he can win, the guys are buying in and they're playing hard for him. Like,
Can I give you a couple names? Can I give you a couple names of ADs that probably did not want to hire their guys, their interim guys, but they ended up doing it because they almost forced their hand a little bit, and they're pretty good right now, by the way. I'll give you one, Greg Gard. He's been pretty good, hasn't he?
Not bad.
I'll give you another, Chris Holtman at Butler. Remember Brandon Miller? Brandon Miller kind of, just left, had some emotional difficulties, and hope. Shout out to Brandon Miller. I hope you're doing well. Miss you a ton. Loved Brandon Miller. And Chris Holtman gets the interim job. And I don't think Barry Collier wanted to give it to Chris Holtman, but ultimately he did such a good job that he gave it to him. And yeah, Chris Holtman's done pretty well. So
it was gone in 3 years. I'll give you another one.
Yeah.
Ready? Kevin Ollie.
Kevin Ollie did not work. Well, it worked out well. Listen, they got a national.
They won a title. They won a title.
I mean, listen, here was my take with Kevin Ollie. I think he was good early. I think he was fine early, and then he got lazy. And he had some personal issues too that probably caused him not to work quite as hard on the recruiting trail, missing out on guys he should not have missed out on, a.k.a. Hamidi Diallo, who was down the street from him, who all they had to do was go down there a couple times, and they were out-recruited by Kentucky, but still, they weren't going hard enough. So anyway, yes, I think to me, again, Isaac Brown, give him at least consideration. I'm not saying giving him the job today, but give him consideration. He's done a hell of a job so far. Like under the radar. Listen, here are their losses. Ready? Missouri, Oklahoma State, Houston. 3 top 25 teams. Here are their wins. They beat Tulsa on the road. They beat Ole Miss on the road, I believe. Both those. Those are 2 pretty good wins, and they just beat Cincy at home. So, again, if he finishes second in the league, let's say argument's sake, he finishes second behind Houston in the league this year. If you're Darren Boatwright, don't you have to give him
I don't even think it matters if he finishes second, third, fourth. Like, if he's right there at the top in the mix, he should absolutely get a very, very long look. Especially, to me, the biggest thing is, like, if you go to the players and all the players are like, we love this guy, we want to play for this guy, like, keep him here.
Yeah, trust me. They were telling me all along that that's who they wanted. As this thing started to pick up steam, and I was talking to all these guys, and I talked to a bunch of current players, they all wanted Isaac Brown.
All right, so give me another list of a couple of your guys that you think are really outperforming the expectations they had coming into the season. I'll start with the first one. I think it's going to be obvious, and I'm taking it right off the bat. I'm stealing it from you, Jeffrey. Yeah. That's Darren DeVries at Drake. 13-0, despite the fact that he lost the guy that has been one of the best centers in the Big Ten this season in Liam Robbins.
Amazing, right? I talked to him the other day, and one of the things our buddy Matt Norlander wrote
oh boy, here we go.
He led his column. I forget what it's called, but he does a column every week, and he led it with Drake. Personally, I wouldn't have led it with Drake, but that would have been my second item. You got to come out strong. We'll teach Norlander how to write a column one of these days. Anyway, Norlander did a nice job on it. The one thing that I think was missing was. And when I talked to Darian, he said all these guys on this team, they went their own separate ways out of high school, but they all played together growing up, and they all, like 6 of them, came back and are playing together right now. So they're having a blast. Again, they grew up with each other. They're winning. And the other thing he said before last week, they got hit with COVID last week in a shutdown. He said we hadn't had one game canceled before that from us or from another team. So they were feeling good. They're winning. They're playing every game. There's some level of normalcy. And all. Have you
noticed that every time a coach says that, like, oh, we haven't had any shutdowns. We've been so like within a day, it's like, you're shut down. You have 19 COVID positives on your roster.
Yep.
And the unfortunate part about having the Loyola games postponed is, like, that was the matchup for Drake, because right now, they haven't beaten a team. The highest ranked team on KenPom that they've beaten is Indiana State, who ranks 149th.
Right. No, it's not like they're like this team, Dick Vitale had them in the top 25. It's like, all right, Dick, slow your roll a little bit here, man. They haven't really beat anybody
yet. They might be.
Right.
But
right. We don't know.
They might just be the best of a bunch of mediocre teams.
That's right.
In the Valley. All right, give me a guy for you.
I'm gonna stay in the Mountain West. I'm gonna hit 2 in the Mountain West, and Leon Rice at Boise has done a really good job. They could be the best team in the Mountain West this year, and I said it in my preseason rankings, which you get some hits and you get some misses, aka Austin P. Sorry about that one, but I did have Boise in there instead of San Diego State at the end, and I think Leon's done a great job there. They've got a potential pro. I'm not sure if he's like a first-round pick pro, but Derek Alston is very intriguing to the NBA guys. He's long, he's skilled, he's their best player. And Nico Medved's done a great job at Colorado State. They had some COVID issues early. I think they're like 7-2 or something like that at this point. 7-3 and 8-2. They're 8-2 right now. And obviously they had the big win against San Diego State down at the Viejas Center, and then just swept UNLV. They've swept Fresno. Their one loss again, other than they split against San Diego State, is at St. Mary's. No shame in that one. So Nico's done a great job with them. Leon Rice, I think those are 2 guys that should be in the equation for high major jobs, especially on the West Coast if something pops, maybe even the Midwest, because Nico's been a little bit of everywhere, so he could go anywhere. You could hire him anywhere.
He's like a Minnesota guy that coached at Furman and is now coaching at Colorado State. So he doesn't really have an area of the country that he that
the only
that
downside to Nico.
Can I have a question?
The downside to Nico is he worked with Tim Miles.
I mean,
that's tough. That's like
the one thing it did was it improved his sense of humor a little bit, but I mean that's
I don't know. It makes you a lot more corny when you work with Miles. It definitely makes you a little cornier,
and it makes you more likely to carry out Coors Lights ice down in a backpack through hotel lobbies. But that's another story for another day.
What were you gonna say?
Well, the last thing that I was going to say is that the last time we had a Nico Medved mentioned on the podcast, I called him the Fighting Nico Medveds, and I was accused of stealing plagiarizing all of Gary Parrish's material and Matt Norlander's material. Where I don't know if I can talk about Nico Medved. I don't know what I'm allowed to say because I don't want to be accused.
Nico Medveds, and you might be okay.
I just got to be careful, man. I don't want to be stealing any content from Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander.
That's copyrighted,
The last guy that I just wanted to mention was Kyle Smith. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but that Washington State team, they lost C.J. Ellaby to the draft a year earlier than they expected, but they have a really good young core. They have a really good backcourt. My guy, Efe Abogidi.
Oh, here we go.
I messed it up again. On Saturday, Goodman, Washington State plays USC. Evan Mobley against Efe Abogidi. And if Efe wins that matchup, he's got to be a lottery pick in your next.
I'm going to put him where Mobley is now. I'm going to put him at number 4. I'm just going to swap him out. Mobley goes off the board, and Efe is number 4.
All right, let's talk about tonight's slate. I gotta hype this up because I got a text from you 25 minutes ago.
Yeah,
super excited. Yeah. And this is what he said. He said, "Oh man, I got a great SWAC pick tonight."
I do. I already put it in. I was so excited. I already put it in.
Come on, give it to me.
All right, there's a big game tonight at the William Nix building, and that's at Prairie View. And Texas Southern plays at Prairie View tonight, and it's part of a doubleheader, I believe. I think the women play first, in case you're wondering. And Texas Southern, they've been off since December 22nd, Robert. So that does worry me. They're a little bit rusty right now, I believe. But
they're going to have their legs. They're going to be.
They're definitely going to have their legs. Think about this. Okay, Texas Southern. When I tell you, this is their team right now. They're starting 5. Remember Michael Weathers?
Mm-hmm.
Played at Oklahoma State. Was like the MAC freshman of the year at Miami of Ohio, I believe. think it was Miami of Ohio. Then he transferred for a minute to Oklahoma State. I think got booted from Oklahoma State, but averaged like 10 a game there. John Walker played at Texas A&M, played a little bit. Remember Galen Alexander from Georgetown?
Yeah,
he's in their starting five. They got a kid from Stephen F. Austin. They got a kid, Jalen Jones from Nevada. That's their starting five. So they actually placed 3 guys on the preseason all SWAC team. Okay?
Right.
Second team, first team, second team. All 3 of them are coming off the bench right now. They're that loaded. They are that loaded, Rob Dauster. They're 2-5, but the record is misleading. The 5 losses, Washington State, Oklahoma State, St. Mary's, Auburn, BYU. Those are their 5 losses so far. So I love the Fighting Johnny Joneses. Friggin' love them. Love them.
See, the only problem with that is I had completely forgotten that Johnny Jones was the head coach. Like I was like, oh yeah, and Mike Davis is a good coach too. He can coach it. Nope. Mike Davis is at Detroit. So I'll follow you on that one. I got it. -1. Texas Southern -1.
Listen,
buckle up.
Part of it is, listen, there's only about 10 games because Alabama State, Mississippi Valley State got squashed. There was some bad weather in I forget what the name of the Ida Buena, Mississippi. There was some bad weather today, so they called it. They're playing tomorrow, so that takes one of the big games off the slate. So you're down to like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's only 9 games on the slate right now.
Do you know why there are only 9 games on the slate?
No. Oh,
you don't know?
Another game, because there's another game tonight.
Yeah, there's a football game tonight.
There's another game tonight. But I need to be able to, watch some. Listen, there's a couple decent games tonight for hoops. I mean,
let's talk about them. The big one is probably.
No, I talked about the big one. I already. The big one's already locked.
Okay, so the backup game is that you're going to have on your backup screen tonight. 6:00 tip. UConn at DePaul. We still don't really know what's going on with book night. Norlander talked with Dan Hurley on Saturday, who said like there's a chance that book night could end up missing a couple weeks. There's a chance that he could end up not missing any time at all. He's got a hyperextended right elbow.
That's just Hurley playing possum. That's all that is.
I know. When
playing Norlander is what he's doing.
When book night hurt his elbow, he came back into the game. I believe it's mostly like a pain tolerance thing, but I think he's getting an MRI today. So there's no new info on that, which kind of makes me hesitant to bet this. But like, no matter what happens, I'm going to be on UConn in this spot. Like, there's just no way I'm going to be betting DePaul.
I don't know. Without book night, I'm not. I don't know if they win this game without book night at DePaul. I mean,
DePaul is talented. But like, I'm just not. I don't feel comfortable putting money on this DePaul team right now. They're kind of a mess.
Fine. That's a different deal. I don't, like me, I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. I don't even know if I'm touching it. If I find out book night's playing at 5, I probably would lay 5. But if he's not playing, I don't feel it at all. The other best, Colorado at Utah, I guess, is the second best game on the slate. Like Colorado's the top 25 team right now. They're giving 3 at Utah. I'm staying away from that one too. I'm all about really all about the SWAC tonight and mid majors. So I'm not playing the big boys, Colorado, Utah. I just don't have a great feel. And Temple, actually, I'm gonna play Temple SMU. Temple's been off, Rob. They've only played 3 games. They're coming off a pause. SMU's coming off a loss to who did SMU? Huh?
The last time that Temple played was December 30th, right. And they played SMU at home, and they lost by 8. They have not played since then. It's been 12 days. SMU has lost 2 in a row. They lost to Houston at home, and they lost to Cincinnati at home, and now they get Temple at home.
Okay.
So you're gonna lay the 11.
I'm going to lay 11 there, just feeling like Temple's going to be rusty as hell, and SMU's going to rebound and not lose 3 straight. So, yes, I like SMU there. The other one I like is Loyola. They lost yesterday at Indiana State. I think Greg Lansing's a hell of a coach at Indiana State. They beat them, and now Loyola is a 6-point favorite. Loyola is the best team in the league, in my opinion.
And what's important to note there is that as of, I believe it was as of Friday, they were supposed to be playing Drake in a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back.
Yeah.
Drake had their COVID issues, so they had to switch it up, which means that you didn't get the same amount of prep time to get ready for Indiana State.
Yeah.
But now you're going to give Porter Moser a second chance. I kind of like it, like Loyola in that spot as well.
What else do we got? You got anything else or not really?
No.
One more.
What? Hit me.
I like Grambling. I like Grambling against Alcorn State. I did my research there. Alcorn State, 348 in KenPom, in case you're wondering. Grambling, way above that at 321. Grambling has beaten Louisiana Monroe and Alabama State, Robert. And I don't know. I have a feel about Grambling, the Tigers. I just have a little bit of a feel. They're given 7. It's a little bit hefty for me, but I like it. And the hardest thing for me today was I'm staying away from my boy Evans Desir at Florida A&M. FAMU.
Oh, man, you're not betting him?
I kind of owe it to him to do it, right? He's taking care of me. Absolutely. They're laying 14 against South Carolina State. The only thing I'll say is South Carolina State, they're 0-13. Like, what do you think?
That's hard to do, to be 0-13.
Should I go? I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I feel like you have to. Right?
I'm gonna. 14's a lot.
You have to. That's a lot
but
of points.
I feel like too. Like, listen, if they get up, my boy comes off the bench, and again, if you haven't seen him, create space. There's nobody like him in college basketball. I will.
All right, so roll through all your picks, and then we can get out of here. Oh, then we have to make a pick on the national title game, then we can get out of here.
We do. Loyola. Well, my big one is obviously we know Texas Southern. Texas Southern, given 1. Loyola, given 6. Grambling, I'm going with all the favorites again. Damn it. Grambling, given 7. SMU, 11.
Texas Southern is not a favorite, by the way. They're getting a point right now.
They're getting the point? All right,
yep.
There we go. I love it. Like, I'm going heavy. And FAMU, 14.
Boom. There you go.
What do you got?
I'm going with UConn if book night plays. I'll take a -5. I'm going to take Loyola -6.5, and I'm going to follow you on Texas Southern. So those are my 3 picks. All right, give me your picks. You got Alabama -9. Total is 75. Can you name 3 players that are playing in this game?
Justin Fields. I can name Justin Fields. Alabama's friggin' running back is a stud. Damn it. You got me. I didn't do my research. I'll take that.
Justin Fields was all I had. I was going to be like Trevor Lawrence. He transferred to one-time transfer waiver to Alabama. I don't know.
I'm going to take Alabama here. I don't know how Justin Fields. He was such a warrior last week. I just don't know how that rib injury is going to. And I just trust Alabama, I guess. Ohio State too. With all these guys, we don't know who's going to play yet. They've got a lot of guys that might play, might not play, right, due to COVID. Big Ten wanted to push the game back. So I kind of worry that there'll be some key guys out for Ohio State. So I'll go Bama.
I'm gonna say you got to take the Ohio State money line.
Yep. And
you got to bet the under. You parlay those 2 things together. Bet your life savings on it.
Oh yeah,
get rich.
There you go. Don't listen.
Don't do that.
Whoever's watching, don't follow Rob with this.
I didn't even know that Justin Fields had a rib injury. So that tells you all you need to know about my picks.
All right, there you have it.
All
Tomorrow's
right.
slate, a lot better. Tomorrow's slate is absolutely loaded. And by the way, Rob Dauster, 4-0, 5-0 yesterday.
4-0, baby.
4-0. I think I was back on track. I think I was like 4-1, maybe.
You finally won some football bets, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I took the Steelers.
I'm happy for you.
I took the Steelers. I was 2-0 until the Steelers, and that game was over after, 5 minutes?
2-1 is a winning day.
Shout out to John Fana and the Cleveland Browns.
Shout out to John Fana. All right, Jeffrey. I'll see you tomorrow, sir.